Greetings everyone and welcome to a new First Taste of the channel where today we're going to be checking out Songs of Conquest, a game that just hit early access on Steam. As of the time of this recording, you will be able to go and pick that up from there, so do check out the video description down below if after you've seen this episode it has whet your appetite for more. This is a turn-based strategy adventure game with strong RPG elements. There is more than a passing similarity to games like Heroes of Might and Magic, and indeed the many games that game inspired. This has a lot going for it. There is a lot of the core gameplay loop that fans of Heroes of Might and Magic will be immediately familiar with, but it does add certain elements to the formula, tweaks and balances here and there, modernizes a lot of it, but also adds some new strategic elements that I've actually had a lot of fun playing with. On top of that, the icing on the cake is some really good writing in the campaign so far as I have seen. But that's enough talk. It's always easier to show rather than describe, so let's go ahead and jump straight down into the game. But before we do remember that if you enjoyed what you saw and you want to see more by the end of this episode, then do consider leaving a like or a comment to that effect, and maybe we'll see a little bit more of this on the channel, or perhaps elsewhere, maybe even over on Twitch. But with that said, let's dive into the campaign. Cecilia Stoutheart, the new Baroness of the Barony of Stoutheart, was on her way to the quarries of Flint Hills. What fantastically named quarries they are, Flint Hills, my lord. All shipments of stone from this region had stopped, and presumably all the shipments of flint as well, and she was determined to find out why. She suspected an uprising of bandits and peasants, and had already sent troops to the region to restore order. And we are immediately greeted by the gorgeous 2.5D. The landscape is actually three-dimensional, and you can kind of see that with the shadows moving around, though. I mean, you know, it's more of a faux shadow because the light doesn't really move as you might imagine it should. But the real standout part here is just how pretty the effect of the 2D like kind of pixel sprites on top of a 3D map is. There have been games in the past which have gone the 2.5D route, and even games that have tried to merge 3D with pixel graphics, but this is definitely amongst the top of the pile there in terms of quality. Now, as you are probably already familiar, if you are indeed a fan of Heroes of Might and Magic, this is a relatively standard UI, but there are a couple of little bits and bobs in this that we will be getting to throughout this first mission that will highlight where this game departs from the kind of tried and trusted HOMMage formula in a pretty interesting way, especially, for example, up here. Right now, our commander can only have 3 different unit stacks. Each stack can have a certain amount of units in it, but only 3 different stacks are allowed. That can be changed over time, and it does actually play in a very big way into the game itself. But let's jump into the action and start wandering around, shall we? The gallows, source of knowledge. Let's go ahead and say hi. Death comes to all, some sooner than others, and a bit of EXP. Again, if you are at all a fan of Heroes of Might and Magic, then this the main game loop will be very familiar to you. This old milestone shows the way. Some extra movement. We can see all sorts of things around the map. We've got a certain view radius, which is gradually pushing back the fog of war. A dead commander. Let's go and have a quick peek down there. Carry on. There we go. You get a lot of these little, like, zooming cutscenes of a sort, and that actually does add quite a lot to the experience, in my opinion. The dead commander wore Stoutheart colours, and the distinctive sign of the Corvus reserves. Stolen ore was one thing, but an uprising against Stoutheart troops was more serious. I'm also quite fond, though I haven't gotten very deep into the campaign in my tests, but I am quite fond of the story as it is written so far. Right, we're out of movement points, so we need to end the turn there. There we go. Let's go ahead and visit here. Now, we've got a dagger, we've got some gold. Now, we don't have any weapon with us right now. We do not have any gold either, but I'm going to go for the weapon. And if we have a look over here, we can look at the wielder sheet. A wielder is effectively a commander in this game. We've currently got these skills, the command skill, which allows us to have different numbers of stacks. As I mentioned, we can currently only command 3, and also a general skill, which is giving us some troop modifiers that you can see down here. We've now automatically equipped the dagger. We can hold on to a bunch of things. We've got trinkets, boots, gloves, shield, though that can sometimes, it's basically an offhand slot, so if we're wielding a two-handed weapon, then we won't have that. Armor and helmet. And we can see some bits of information around here. All very useful, and it comes into play a little bit later on as you start to get different commanders with different kinds of bonuses. Some gold there. Let's carry on our way. Now, end the turn again and go onto an Aurelian milestone. Get a little bit more movement, or perhaps a cutscene. Some wounded soldiers appeared from the forest and snapped to attention. This was Cecilia Corvus's reserves, and they had clearly seen combat recently. Hail, Baroness. The Corvus reserves await your command. Lieutenant, you've seen combat. What's the situation and status of the mines? Our scouts detected hostiles about, milady. The gold mine to the south has been seized by rebels. We also encountered an unexpectedly well-armed force at Flint Hills to the west. We took heavy casualties and were forced to retreat. How well-armed? These aren't peasants with tools and knives. They have crossbows and swords, and bannerless knights ride with them. And this is no peasant uprising. Someone thinks me weak and seeks to take advantage of my father's death to steal more than a few shipments of ore. We must uphold the laws and show them that the error of their ways. Gather the troops. We march for Flint Hills. Okay, so troops want to join. Now, I'm going to do a bit of a thing here that you might not fully understand immediately. But once we actually get into combat, I will explain the reasons, the whys, and the wherefores. I will stack our militia, because these are the ones that I expect to actually see attacks and counterattacks more than the archers, who hopefully won't get attacked at all, so it's a little bit safer to split them. Now, we've got an optional objective and a main objective, and of course, as with any RPG, whether it is a turn-based strategy RPG or your more Baldur's Gate style RPGs, well, I guess Baldur's Gate was kind of turn-based, if you wanted it to be. We are going to go and do the optional objectives first. Now, do I want gold or do I want help? I absolutely want help, so we'll grab you. Now, one thing you can do as well is you can balance the stacks, which that little tiny ability, just to grab 2 stacks, overlay them and then tell it to evenly distribute, is so useful later on. 3 movement, though this one is for 2 turns. Let's go and say hello. Ah, damn it. 1 too shy. All right. Now, before we get in, we've got experience here, and here, this is the essence of our army. The essence, well, there are some exceptions. You can pick up, like, trinkets, and certain commanders can gain skills, which will give them essence in combat. Think of this as your mana, and you've got different flavors of it. Most essence will come from the troops that you have in your army. Your wielder and the people they command are intrinsically woven together. We've got Arcana, Creation, Destruction, Chaos, and Order. And right now, we're gaining 1 order from our wielder's specialization and 4 order from our troop types. If we have a look at them, Order, Order times 2, and Order. Now, there may be a case, because this gives Order times 2, to split this stack rather than these. But I favor having the Archer splitter because I feel that having a larger stack that's going to be attacked, any stack that is likely to see direct melee combat and counterattacks, be the larger, beefier stack, tends to hold true. Cecilia Stoutheart says, "Stand down. This mine belongs to the Barony of Stoutheart. It belongs to me." We'll do no such thing. You would be wise to go back to your castle and prepare for a storm. There's one coming, I gather. The only storm gathering here is me. Prepare yourselves. And now we see the deployment screen. Now, you don't get to see everything going on the map, but these colored tiles are where we can place troops. height matters in this. So our archers being over there is actually pretty solid. There are 2 enemies down here, so I think I'll have 1 archer down here and footmen close by. Of course, another option is to kind of gather the troops together, like so. And you know what, sure, we'll actually go with that. Try and force them to come to us through a withering hail of arrows, if at all possible. And here we go. Now, again, if you're familiar at all with Heroes of Might and Magic, then this is an extremely familiar sight. In fact, in other games that were developed around the same time as Heroes of Might and Magic, or perhaps inspired by, there's a lot to see here. Now, currently, we don't really have much essence. We've got 3 order essence at the start of this battle, and if we have a look in here, we can see our spells quick bar. There's a lot of spells here for us to look at. Some that are kind of combination spells. These are strictly order, so these are like single mana type spells, and these are synergy spells, if you want to think of it like that. Currently, we do not have enough order to cast anything, but we generate order every time a troop does something. Now, if you hover over any troop, you can get a bit of information. You can see the turn order, and also what the turn order will be next round as well, in case you've got anything that's affecting the turn order in this round only. If you click on them, you can get much more information there. However, now, there are a few things here. The red, the highlighted area here, with the kind of ripples radiating out, that's the zone of control. Within that zone, if you try to move at all, and that includes within the zone, so for example, if I was stood there and I moved here, I would still get trigger an attack of opportunity from the enemy. The red zone, I believe, is how far they're going to be able to move, yes. But we've got 2 ranges for these archers here, or rather crossbowmen. And you'll notice we've got 2, though it's kind of hard to see. The outer range is just over there for that bowman. Perhaps it's a little bit easier to see with this one. The larger, closer range is your deadly range. So this is where you would consider it kind of point-blank range for a ranged character. And within the deadly range, you'll do 2 times as much damage. So we kind of want to avoid that if we can, or at the very least not put all of our troops too close to it. Neither of you will really be able to put your deadly range on this tile. You will, though. In fact, your deadly range will start there. But I will advance my troops over to here, and then I'm going to end their turn. Oh, you went back. Interesting. Everyone is going for my archer there. Dislike. But now we've got Quicken. Target friendly troop gets +5 initiative and +1 troop movement. Now, +5 initiative may well be enough to push one of these units into the front on the next turn. I think 1 troop round, yes. I think I'm going to play that. And we should see them bump up on the next turn. There we go. Now, we have got you. In fact, both of you are within my deadly range, so I can probably take you out altogether. I could do a decent amount of damage to you. I would rather go for you, though, because I should be able to bring you within the deadly range of this unit. Now, that being said, movement does weaken a soldier, and you can see quite a lot of information about that. I'm going to march forward 3 tiles, bring you within my deadly range. There we are. 50% damage penalty there. It's quite a big one when you think about it. Generally speaking, being higher up gives you extra range and also extra damage, but that was good enough there. Right, time to march in. Let's get down here, take them out. There we go. Momentum. Oh, they came in and stopped shy of our unit's zone of control. Very, very nice. Now, affected by momentum. Let's have a look at that. What exactly does momentum do? Shielded plus 50% range resistance. I can't really see what momentum is doing. Perhaps it increases movement? I'm not really sure on that. Either way, let's go for you, since I can do quite a lot of damage there. And you can clear them out. And that should be the end of that fight. We didn't really use too much of our spells. We didn't really have much of a need for it, though. But there you are. Fairly standard combat package for this, but very, very well presented in my opinion. It's very comfortable to play. We're not treading any, well, too much new ground. I was about to say any, but again, the fact that mana is tied to your troops and you generate that mana every time your troop takes an action, that's something new, and it does actually give a bit of a fresh feel. There's certainly new tactics and new strategies you need to use in the combat if you're used to things like HOMM. Now, having a look at this, we can grab a new skill. Your troops gain plus 10 melee offense. We can increase our guard skill, which increases their melee resistance, or unlock command. Now, command is a pretty big one in this, as you can probably already guess, given that that directly gives us more stacks. Right, we've taken back the gold mine. At this point, I am going to split my stack here. As a consequence of this, I will generate more order as we play. Through a complete round, I'll generate 6 order. So splitting these stacks, again, that is a pretty new style of interaction with your troops, and I think it creates a very, very interesting effect. Now, we've got an old battlefield down here. Let's have a quick look. Walking this old battlefield inspires caution. Plus 20 defense, minus 10 offense for 1 battle. Not turn, but battle. Cecilia was no ordinary commander. She was a wielder and could draw upon the essence of her troops to weave mighty spells. Indeed. As she touched the old tribute to order, she felt its essence empower her. That power would be needed. Something, 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 something. Games that have text and don't slow it down. Always a problem, especially for someone with dyslexia. Scallywags. There we go. Now then, we have got an old camp. Soldiers are camped here. Their camp has been pillaged for gold. All the soldiers can be recruited when they return. Well, there's 12 militia. Now, given that they are a different type of unit, let's merge my bowmen, and I will take 12 militia. Yes, please and thank you. Let's check out this old camp. Got some more militia. We can stack them up to 50 instead of 20, which is actually pretty amazing. Another large camp, and here we've got some footmen. Very much appreciated. Let's rebalance the troops. There we go. An armor rack. We've got an archer's gambeson. This gives us plus 4 defense, which means that this is getting given to our troops. That is very interesting. It's not just the commander. Well, I guess it kind of is the commander in a sense, in that these are being passed along. But that's actually really, really quite interesting. Maybe there are going to be combats with the commander directly, but unlike some of the more modern HOMMs and HOMM-likes, the commander doesn't get involved in fights. Doesn't even exist on the battlefield that I've seen so far. So it's much more true to the original HOMM formula. Hundreds of years ago, the Empire of Aurelia spanned the whole world. Statues of the Empress can still be found spread across Arleon, and many folks speak dreamingly of the golden years of Aurelia. Praying here grants power in battles to come, plus an initiative, plus 1 troop movement. Nice. And we've got a treasure chest with some gold. I will not say no. Not that we've had much use for it yet. We're just accruing it at the moment. Right, let's get ourselves down here. Oh, why, hello there, rebel roadblock. Erected barricades and a small force of armed peasants blocks the road west. You best be gone, young stoutheart. Flint Hill's a free land now. Free? Free to be attacked by bandits and pillaged by other baronies? Who will protect the people? You? Why not? As you can see, we're quite well armed. I can see that, but I caution you to think carefully before your next actions. Put down your weapons, answer my questions, and I'll be merciful. Or, stand unlawfully against me, and my sword will deliver justice. Now, who armed you? One of good intentions. I've seen stout-heart mercy. When old Lord Hammond was decapitated by your father. Now, turn back. It brings me no pleasure to turn my sword upon my subjects, but unlawful acts will not be tolerated. Stoutheart will stand. I feel that young Baroness Stoutheart is living in the shadow of her father's previous actions, for better or for worse. Now, we've already got some nice high ground here, and you can't climb an elevation that's more than 1 tile high. So, for example, you can move to there, you can move to there, to there, to there. But you can't move from here to there. At least as far as I have seen. There may be some units with special talents, because units aren't just attack and defend. They do have special abilities. Now, we enter battle with 4 order this time. 1 order from tribute to order, 1 order from the wielder specialization. We'll gain 6 order from the various troops, which is actually quite nice. So I can give a troop some extra movement. Don't really need the movement, I would say, but I will give it to you. That's about the only thing that we're going to need. Now, once again, we don't really want to present ourselves to too much danger. They would have their deadly attack all the way down here. I'm going to move up and I'm going to guard this militia. There we are. You are not going to have deadly attack anywhere close by for a little while. So I'm going to move and guard this archer stack. Now, attacking at this moment would probably be wise. We can't climb up there, sadly. I would otherwise. I'll lose a bit of damage by moving up. I'm going to wait for this unit for one specific reason. This unit has to reload. This is a crossbow. Troop can perform 1 range attack and then needs to reload for a turn. So I can move on the turn where it is reloading. It's currently got +2 deadly range and 2 range because it's on a high ground. Let's go ahead. Oh, nice kill. Very nice kill, actually. Now, you've got +3 range, and I can only imagine that would give us +4 over there. But let's see what we can do. Very solid attack. New round. Now, I can drop enemy damage. I can give defense to my units. Or I can give quicken once again. I am going to... Wow, we've got 8. Yeah, we are actually going to use this. Go ahead. We'll drop their damage for a little bit, because it's going to take us some time to get over there. Now, while we're here, we can go ahead and destroy that that barricade, and that's probably wise to do. Let's try not to give them the high ground. If they've got high ground over... Well, actually, if they've got high ground over us in melee, it gives them an advantage. In range, I don't think it confers an advantage, other than the fact that it just does more damage and they can shoot further. Right, while we're reloading, we'll just move into a better position. We will eliminate you in one go. There we go. Now, they're still reloading for this turn. Are they down on damage? Ah, I think it was only for the previous round. Interesting. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a bit of an armor buff there. That is to say, I thought it might have been the case that the damage was based on an attack. I should have just read it. Duration 1 round. Of course, doing it on a crossbowman who's going to spend the next round reloading, wasted mana. My bad there. But there we go. That little bit of extra defense helped out a bit, I should imagine. Now, thankfully, we can take a... Although that didn't... I was about to say we can take a high trajectory shot. No, we'll just shoot straight at them. It's fine. No high trajectories here. There we are. We managed to take out all of the bandits without losing any troops whatsoever. Very happy. Okay, let's see this looted cart. Some extra gold. All right. You look a little bit worrying. Out of movement for this round. Let's go ahead and use this. Flint Hills, +1 movement, +50 experience points. We can't go down here. We have to go and fight. Was there anywhere that I would be able to dip back to in order to gather some items? It might be possible to revisit these locations. Or we can just throw ourselves at the knights. Now, this comes down to whether you think you've got a good chance against the attackers or whether you need a bit of a boost. I'm just going to throw caution to the wind. We're going to dive in, but this is where your commander kind of economy of movement starts playing in. Commanders with a lot of movement points can sometimes afford to nip back to a shrine, which quite often will be revisitable as long as the effect of their last visit has run its course, and you know, constantly top themselves up before battles. Oops, sorry, I just missed that. There, I was trying to move the map, but apparently clicking on anything cancels it. Knights, archers, you're no ordinary bandit force. I've always wanted to kill a wielder. Wow. You won't be the first upstart knight I've defeated. Rude. We're actually going to centralize our defenders, I think. A few knights 1 to 5, a few archers 1 to 5, and several footmen. Now, you will get more information here if you have a high degree of scouting. Our scouting is not terrible, but you can. It seems you can get much more information if you've got particularly high scouting on the units that are watching. I don't know if multiple different wielders and their armies can make that effect happen, or if it's purely down to the commander who's engaging and what innate bonuses they have. Now, if I get over there, yeah, that's not going to be great. We can see a little bit about this. Our offense is less than their defense, which doesn't help us. Your deadly range is already quite close. This is a worrying one. You're quite far away. I'm favoring drawing back and protecting. You'll easily be able to get over to me, but if I could take the high ground, you can't reach either of my archers from here, so let's pop you up there. I want to draw you in if I can. Also, if I go here instead of here, now it's very tempting to put my footman there. However, where this knight can move, they would be able to attack from this tile, which would be on even footing. By placing my footman here, the only way this unit could attack any of my units is from low ground, which would give us a slight advantage. As you've probably already seen, we do have a disadvantage in terms of raw power. This has 13 to 16 damage, it has melee offense of 26 and defense of 22. It has range resistance of 50%, and our units have a melee offense of only 16, defense of 30 though. So we will have the advantage. They will have a disadvantage on the attack because their melee offense is lower than ours. Now I've got to decide which one they're going to likely go for. I'm going to say probably try and take the high ground rather than be really low down. But this may, having given the buff to them, may force them to attack over here, which would be a bit of a shame. Drat damn and blast. I can't easily attack them. Well, that is unfortunate. Though I suppose I could just hold on to this turn. I don't believe you can, like, put it in the bank or anything like that. It is a shame, but I could move you back. I don't think I will. I think I'm going to go for an attack. Deadly range here. Range attack resistance minus 50% damage. Offense is lower than defense. That's only minus 2% damage. Still, we might kill one. And we did. Great. They did go for the high ground. Fantastic. Very pleased with that, actually. Very pleased with that indeed. Okay, I would like you to go next. There we are. Now, we'll take one out here. They will counterattack. We're down to 4 units there, but they've used up their counterattack now, so they're not going to get another one this turn, which is very nice, and we should be able to wipe this knight out, which is by far the most dangerous unit on the field. At this stage, we can start laying down some damage on their footmen. This round, this is an archer, so you get to attack every single round. I am going to drop your damage for now. You can approach over here, so I'm going to start charging forward. Don't have to worry too much about you being able to reach me. Can't quite get in there, that's a shame. But okay, let's get over there, take an attack. And we're reloading now, but should I march forward a little bit? It will be helpful. We may be able to take them out. Sadly, no. Okay, well, we're going to go for the easy kill here. There we are. We've only got 2 units here, so it's a little bit tricky for us. I'm going to buff you with defense, even as I charge this unit forward, because you're very low on health now. tricky part here is they've got such good range. As expected, they went for the weakest unit. Now, I'm sacrificing my elevation here, but at least I can still attack. Now, I would like to drop their damage. There we go. We'll clear up the area a little bit. Now, going here or going there really doesn't matter, but going up here allows me to clear the way a little bit easier. Actually, I should have cleared that, so this unit could have moved first. That was my bad there. Poor decision. And at this point, from this elevation, we should get the kill. There we go. Floating in the air. It's normal. Clearly what happened is the arrow had gone through the body such that the body was kind of on a bed of arrows sticking through them, kind of perfectly positioned like a tripod, holding their body up off the ground. Very impressive. Trick shot, even, you could say. We lost a fair number of units there, though. That was kind of painful, if I'm honest. Right, let's start marching forward and have a look at Flint Hills. A crowd of peasants, led by a village elder, came out to greet Cecilia as her forces entered Flint Hills. I've defeated the rebels and restored Flint Hills to the protection of Stoutheart, as is my duty. Now, who amongst you will tell me what happened? Those knights and their soldiers appeared recently and armed all the local troublemakers. They seized our quarries and mines and started sending the shipments south towards Barksburg, where their patron waits. And none of you stood against them? None of you sent word to the local warden, or to Springhold? No, my lady. We were afeared for our lives. We sent a messenger to Hope's Glade to warn them and ask for help, but the messenger never returned. Remember this moment the next time you are made the offer of independence. I will always protect the barony from threats within and without. Join my forces, and together we will restore order to this territory. We'll heed the call to arms of Stoutheart, as we did for your father before you. There are able-bodied recruits in the peasant hut. There we go. We can restore some of our troops with that. Very, very nice indeed. Peasant hut there, farmhouse over here. Let's go and grab some, receiving 75 gold each turn. Very nice. Smith generously passed with his latest work, the Archer's Helmet. Let's have a look at that. Gives us +4 defense, so we're actually starting to stack this defense very nicely. Even without the +20 now, we're actually really getting up there. Got some stone as well. You're going to find, stone, lumber, typical resources in a game like this, but we've also got Glimmerweave, Ancient Amber, and Celestial Ore. Very, very interesting sounding, that one. There we go, and let's go and check on the peasant hut. Okay, well, we've got militia. I will accept as many as I can recruit. At this point, I will now merge this troop, and I will accept a bunch more as well. We've got a very archer-centric army. I'm not super happy with that, I'll be honest with you, but we'll see what we can do. Alright, hello. The tavern fills any army with energy and vigor. Now, we've got a little bit more cash, so we can probably pop up here and make use of some additional recruitment before we move on. There we go. I'm not going to linger over long, though. Let's carry on down. Not least because I can see the time on this episode ticking by. There's so much to show. Too much to show, really. At least for one episode, but that's the fate of First Taste. Right, Ken, source of power, that is to say, if this remains only a first taste, you have the power to perhaps influence the fate a little bit in that regard. A forward scout, a small band of Cecilia's stout scouts stood awaiting us. Those Stoutheart scouts. Stood waiting along the roadside. Lady Stoutheart, Corporal Greenwood, we've come from your warden, Villiers? I would say Villiers of Thorncliffe, as per your command. Your troops are concealed at the forest edge. Corporal, this is not the forest's edge. These troops are camped within the tender wild. You may have disturbed the Fae. The Fae? My lady, surely the Fae are only a myth. Superstitions for the country folk. Did my ancestors sign a covenant with the mythological creatures? The law of the leaves still stands, and we must make sacrifice or break the peace. Consider what we must forfeit to the forest begins to atone for your error. I await your judgment. My life is yours. Your death would serve no one. If I remember my history, there is an offering tree southwest of here. Join up, Corporal. I need all of my troops, even the ones who make mistakes. Your loyal servant, Lady Stoutheart. Okay, yes, we will happily accept the... Ooh, there are a lot of you there. Ah, track down. Blast, okay. Oh no, there was only 5. Whew. Okay, that's fine. I was about to say, I'm going to leave behind 15 archers. I think not, my lado. Archway ruins. Let's go and have a peek down here. Curious arch. As Cecilia examines this strange arch, she notices that it was almost warm to the touch and vibrated slightly. She studied many strange ruins from the times of Aurelia, but never one that seemed so alive. Okay, we gained a bunch of experience there. Now we can add a new skill. Learning our wielder gains 15% extra experience or can command more troops. Well, I'm definitely going for that. Now, normally I would go for this in most games, but an extra stack is a very tempting thing for 2 reasons. One, extra troops for a battle allows me to have a larger army when I fight, but also I can generate more essence each turn. And that's where this particular mechanic really starts to play in, and the deviation from the tried and true formula. I think this is a really interesting one as far as I've seen so far. This is added to my experience of playing. I feel it has given me some really interesting tactical choices. I don't always go for that, but it does tend to have to be a pretty compelling reason not to. So with that, we can split up our forces even more, just like so. Now we've got 5 stacks. This is going to generate quite a lot of order for us. I'm very happy with that. Very happy with that. Right, let's go and have a look at down here and see what there is to see. 12 militia, sure, I'll accept you. Some gold as well, possibly more militia. Yes, please and thank you. And a large camp. 6 rangers, we can't actually take them, sadly. I take that back, actually. Oops, sorry. We can take them, in fact. Perfect. That is marvellous. Alright, we've got to head down in this here direction. We've got 2 objectives, and we want to go to the place the offering. You don't want to be on the bad side of the fray. My 9 would be very distraught at the idea of being on the bad side of the Tulwith Tag. Scout down here. Not that they're called the Tulwith Tag here, but rose by any other name. Right, out of movement for this turn. Let's grab that. Now there's some things over there that I might... Could I get down there? I can from this direction. Perfect. Some gold. A round shield, eh? Let's have a look at you. Some more defense. Our defense is actually pretty low, though. What exactly happened there? Is there... okay. Giant mushroom. All right. Yeah, the thing we just took. Aavak. Yeah, it's great when you read. My lord. Stone altar sacrifices have been made here. They fill Cecilia Stoutheart with power. Cecilia. Right, okay. Let's head on down and meet the Fae. Now, in regards to experience, much like other HOM games and HOM likes, there is a limited amount of experience that any wielder can get on any map to kind of avoid power creep and just running back and forth and just doing little battles that pop up here and there and becoming so OP that as the campaign progresses, you're hopelessly overleveled. Each campaign has a maximum level that your wielder can get to, and that progressively increases as you progress through the campaign missions. The ranged Fae. Damn Drat and Blast, I missed it. Who must be gone? We wish to leave an offering for our trespass on the forest, as is stated in the ancient covenant between us. Stand aside, little spirits. I would do my duty. No humans, no never. Spirits, do not trifle with me. I am Stoutheart, and by the agreements I seek to make amends. If you continue to impede my passage to the offering tree, I will draw arms and put you out of your misery. You are misery. Misery! So be it. Okay, well, we've got a stupendously archer-focused group. It's going to be a bit of an interesting one, frankly. Alright, let's go. Now, the enemy did not have many stacks, so if we're lucky, we might be able to deal with this. By stacks, I meant the size of the stacks. There we go. Though they have got very high... we can actually take them out in one go. That's fantastic, despite the low ground penalty. But we do not have anywhere near the initiative that they do. Much sadness. Let's take you out, because you're going to have to walk past them, which means they'll generate an attack of opportunity. Actually, we might be able to... shame. I was hopeful that we might be able to take them out, but of course that hopes failed us one. But there we are. Attack of opportunity, and there we go. Nice and easy. No troops lost. Except for theirs, of course. Alright, there we go. Let's head on down and see what there is to see. We've got some gold. We've got boots, worn boots. Let's have a look at you. +1 movement, +1 view radius. Very nice indeed. So I don't think that actually counts as scouting. That's just purely removal of the fog of war around us. But still very useful. Carry on down. And let's grab this. The offering tree was the most unusual tree Cecilia had ever seen. Her friend, Vilya of Thorncliffe, had described them once, but it had not done them justice. The branches were smooth and glossy and seemed to be lit from within. The leaves tinkled like tiny bells in the breeze, and, most uncommon, the tree gave off the aroma of warm spiced cider, like her mother would give her when she was small. Fae of the forest, for trespass upon your woods, we offer compensation. For these Fae spirits slain, I ask forgiveness. They could not be reasoned with. Let our peace be everlasting. As the offerings were presented, the forest around Cecilia grew quiet. Hopefully, it was enough. +3 offense, +3 defense. I think the offering tree was okay with our humble offering. Let's carry on our way. If you double click, they'll start moving. If you click again fairly quickly, so triple click, they will instantly make the move, which is actually quite nice. Right, you know what? One other thing I'm going to do there, let's balance that stack. We would have been able to end that last fight one turn earlier had I done that. Right then, Barian mercenaries. Let's go and take a look. Guarding the road was a large force of mercenaries, hailing from the merchant state of Baria. Barian mercenaries. Turn back. The road is open for ore shipments from Flint Hills only. I see you're strangers to these lands, or you would know me as the lawful Baroness Stoutheart. I do not recall a declaration of war from the Barian city-states. Therefore, you are thieves and trespassers. What other crimes shall I add to that list? We've committed no crimes. We are honourable mercenaries, here on contract and merely following orders. I spit on your contract. You have my ore, therefore you are thieves. You will return it. Tell me who hired you, and maybe I will ransom you back to your employers. We are not afraid to fight you, Stoutheart, but be warned. Our contract states that no one wearing Stoutheart colours are to be spared on the battlefield. Of course, if you turn around now, we can avoid this battle. Never. You shall be treated as thieves and trespassers, and my sword will deliver justice for breaking our laws. Then, unfortunately, we must battle. Interesting dialogue. Whilst I am definitely not going to have enough time to showcase it in its fullness in this first taste, one thing I will say is that I'm going to separate these out a little bit more. That the story is actually fairly well written, in my opinion, in that quite a lot of the enemies aren't like comic villains clothed in evil deeds, twiddling wax mustaches. There's a lot of sympathy for some of the characters. It just appears that they are soldiers on different sides of a battle, and perhaps the soldiers have got very little part in the politicking about things. They're following their liege lord into battle. And I really like that about the story. I'm actually really surprised by the quality of the writing. I think there's a big positive of the game. Now, you are all a little bit worrisome because you have a +1 melee reach. So given that, so for example, that blue border there is where they can attack. I don't want to get too close, so if they were there, they'd be able to attack here and here. So perhaps advancing... Yeah, no, not advancing at all would be the wisest move. I will move over here, though. There we go. There we are. Now, you're not within my deadly range, but you are within range. Now, you are within deadly range over here. Let's go for the larger stack. There we go. Very nice. You're within deadly range. You are not, but I can take 4 to 6 of you out right now, which would be very nice. Let's do it. Now, we're about to get into danger, so I'm going to buff your defense before I send you into attack. There we are. Just in case there was a decent counterattack. I should have actually checked whether that was going to be the case or not. Whether I would guarantee kill the entire stack. But it's very much worth defending from a counterattack. One thing to note: if an army dies before their turn comes up in the turn order, you don't get essence from that. So it is always worth keeping your group alive. I mean, obviously, but even if it's you get out of a combat with one person standing, that means an extra turn's worth of essence. I think, considering how range-heavy our army is, going for some extra ranged damage, very good. Plus 20 to range offense. Very nice indeed. Right, okay, looks like we're entering a rather run-down little place over here. No survivors remain, but sifting through the ashes, some resources are found. Some gold, stone, wood. Hope's Glade. Cecilia's troops searched the smoking remains of Hope's Glade, looking for survivors. The townsfolk had clearly put up a fight, and for that they had suffered. From the rubble they heard a moan, and they uncovered a badly injured militiaman. Lady Stoutheart, we held as long as we could. We had to retreat. They were too strong. Who did this? Barians? A troop of Barian mercenaries marched on towards Barksburg, but it were the knights that attacked us. Men of our legion, setting fire to our homes, taking no surrender. All we could do was flee to the hills north of here. The wounded man tried to speak, then fell limp. His eyes glazed over as the last sliver of strength left his body. His essence is in the wind, but Stoutheart still stands. Come, there are survivors here yet. Let's search the hills before we journey south to Barksburg. It's time to put an end to this. Updated objective: liberate Barksburg and look for survivors. An optional objective, but of course, true to RPG customs, we will do every optional quest that we possibly can, or we would if we hadn't run out of time. That is going to have to be it for this first taste. I've only given you a glimpse of what this game has to offer. So far, we've only really seen combat, and the main, well, I would say in a home game, the larger part is moving around your troops and getting into fights. But there is another component as well, and that is developing cities. Now, the city development in this game, I will give you a quick summary. Much like HOMMs and HOMM-likes, you can get varying different city-states. In this game, it seems that they are split into settlements and cities themselves, and they have upgrade buildings that you can build. Unlike most HOMM-likes, however, the buildings are represented on the main map, and you can get more buildings in a city as you upgrade the city itself. There are troop-producing buildings which themselves can be upgraded, which allow you to upgrade the types of troops. For example, footmen become much better armored, they become like men-at-arms sort of things. Militia become sappers, rangers become archers, knights, I imagine, have some amazing upgrade as well. I haven't actually seen that myself so far, and I can only assume that there are lots of other troop types and interesting ways that you can develop that. There certainly are non-standard buildings, such as ones that which just generate resources or ones that allow you to do research. Now, if that has whet your appetite and you would like to see a little bit more of what this game has to offer, well, you know what you need to do. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to see more, do leave a like down below or a comment to that effect. But also, I think we're probably going to be jumping into a stream of this one a little bit later on today. Shall we say somewhere between 9 p.m. BST and 10 p.m. BST? You'll have to do the conversions there. That is British summertime for those who lucky few who might not live in a place where you have to deal with daylight savings. I could only imagine how simple your life must be for that. But unfortunately, I have to deal with them. So yes, British summertime at the moment, which from the time this video goes up will probably be about 3 to 2 hours, depending on how long it takes YouTube to process it. But nevertheless, I really do hope you have enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you over in Twitch. I will, of course, post a notification on the community page on YouTube when I am just about to go live. So if you would like to see a little bit more, and perhaps we'll go through several parts of the campaign and get to see playing around with settlements and cities directly, then do drop by. But that is going to be it from me, and of course from Cecilia Stouthart and her followers. I really do hope you've enjoyed. I hope to see you in the next First Taste, whatever that may be. But until then, and as always, do take care, everyone.